Hey there everyone! Welcome back to another exciting video for the Shibarium community and its partners. I'm Cezanne Shib, and my mission is to spread knowledge and positivity within the Shibarium ecosystem. This video is the 8th of all X-Space Weekly DAO Update series. This X-Space was held March 21st, 2024.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another K9 Finance X Spaces, and you are here very early, and you are here with me. I am your host. If you're listening this early, you are either here because you used that reminder link, which is very cool, or maybe you're listening to the recording, which is also fantastic. Either way, we appreciate you being very early to the spaces. However, that means that you are with us when we do X Spaces setup. If you've been to a Spaces before, you know what this looks like. You've been through a Spaces setup before because you've been early. But if you're new to a Spaces, or if you're listening to that recording and wondering what's going on, it takes a few minutes to get everybody where they need to be. So give us a few minutes as we approve speakers. We have to check microphones. There's posts that'll be pinned. There's things to do, as it were. So we're going to get these people up into their spots. And as we get ready to go around the 5-minute mark or so, we generally do like a room reset where we kind of pretend the first 5 minutes didn't happen, reintroduce the room. That'd be the best spot to look for the juicy content. So as we set up here, we'll just request speakers that know they're going to be speaking today. You can raise your hand. We'll approve the requests and we'll check microphones. Buzz, I see you already came up. You've got a microphone. Does your microphone work? How are you?
I hope it works. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. Sounds good on my end. How do I sound? Is it clear?
Yep, clear to me.
Cool.
Yeah, I know we have a great agenda today. Just want to give a reminder. Oh, there's the Shib account. Nice. Up as a speaker. Just a reminder that they wanted to co-host as well. So happy to get things going. And there it is. Co-host. Perfect.
Yep. Thanks to the Shib account for coming in today. They're planning to co-host as far as I know. We don't expect to hear anything from them, but they are here to hang out with us today and hang out in the co-host spot. It's always nice to have someone co-hosting. Co-hosts are able to help with things like approvals. They're able to help with mutes. They're also able to help manage pin posts and stuff like that. So when you're hosting spaces, you can have up to 2 co-hosts generally, and then an additional 10 speakers as guests and stuff like that. So a little spaces tip. Another spaces tip is it would be really helpful if I had more numbers in the bottom right corner. Can you guys see that little purple button if you're on your mobile? It's a 2 right now. At least I can see a 2. Number needs to go up. We need more comments down there. That's your opportunity to help us out by liking the spaces, sharing the spaces, reposting, quote posting, and most importantly, leaving comments down there. You can leave questions for us. You can leave comments and concerns. You can use it like an inbox basically, or you can just talk about what you got going on. Share a picture. It's fine by me. The more comments we get, the better it is for the algorithm, ultimately speaking. And then when I get the time, as we go through the spaces, I'll scroll through there. We'll see what you guys are talking about. And if you can't come up for a speaker spot, if you do have a question, tag us down there, tag the K9 Finance account, tag Buzz, tag somebody, and we'll see if we can get down there as well. I'll remind you guys too, the Shib account and Buzz both, you guys have the ability to pin posts. So if there's something on your timeline from earlier this week that you might want to talk about or that you're going to reference to, you can always use the share button. When you're in a speaker spot in a space, you have a new option in the share button, and that is to pin a post in your current space. So if there's a post you're going to want to talk about, now would be the time to throw it up there. We got about 2 more minutes until we're going to do the room reset, and we're going to kick this off. Little tip for you guys listening, a little free crypto pulse nugget, because that's me back here hosting, by the way. Always think of your recorded audience when you're hosting a spaces. If I'm not around to do this for you, remember that people hit play on the recording and you got like 7 to 10 seconds before they start wondering like if their microphone or their speaker's busted or if the spaces is recorded funny. So you got to take a second sometimes to make sure that you've got your audience captured on your recording. Make sure that they are able to listen in and get in very early. That's why I do the introduction the way that I do it. That's why I do that first 5-minute intro, just so people know that the microphones are working and that the spaces is actually live. Buzz, if you want to send a DM and see what happened to the co-host, bring them back. That'd be supreme if you could handle that for me.
Yep, on it.
Sweet. Give it a couple more minutes. I see some familiar faces down in the listener spots. I appreciate all the faces, old and new, that I see that are coming in. I see Lightspeed and Mahyar and some other people. And as I scroll, let's see how far down can I go. I can't see everybody because we've got more people than my phone will allow me to see. So shout out to everybody that's here. This is week number 8 for our DAO spaces. And this one's going to be a good one. We're post centralized exchange. So I know there's going to be a conversation and questions about that. And then ManBuzz, I can't resist at least a little bit as we go into the middle of this, getting into what I don't think you got to talk about as much as you would have in the spaces that you had with Mario. I have some questions about meme culture that I'd love to hear your opinion on that you didn't get to chime in earlier. So I hope you're ready for that too.
100%. Yeah, for those in the community that were listening to that spaces earlier that we were on with Mario in the fall, definitely lots of thoughts on that. So we can get into it.
Yeah, you'll be more diplomatic about it than I will. That's the truth. I wish I could have been there with you, man. I'd have come out swinging too. It was a hell of a thing. Anyway, we're around that 5-minute mark, so I'll get one more chance. Let me bump the SHIB account back up to co-host real quick. And once they're up here and I don't have to check all that stuff, we'll room reset and get rolling. You guys got a cold beverage and a comfortable seat. We're going to be here for at least 30 to 45 minutes is the plan. Weekly updates, things about the listing, things that have happened since the last time we got together, questions, concerns, comments, and then we'll put a lid on it, send Buzz back to the coding cage, if that sounds good with everybody. I see the SHIB account moving around on my screen. They're not up in co-host yet. No, there they go. Okay. The visuals sometimes lag on X Spaces. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but sometimes they're way behind. So we're ready to go. Buzz, are you ready? I'm ready to roll into it if you are.
Yeah, I'm ready as well. Keep an eye out for Mantra. So I'm messaging them on the side. I think they should be here shortly, but just keep an eye out for them requesting to speak. But otherwise, ready to go.
Right on. Appreciate it. We had extended the invite to them to come in and talk about the partnership that we announced and just talk about NFTs in general, their experience on Shibarium. So hopefully they can make it in. You guys ready? We're gonna get ready to lift the curtain for everybody and do the room reset. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another K9 Finance X Spaces. You are here today with K9 Finance, and we are here to have our weekly DAO update. We have a weekly meeting where we get together every week, and I get to host that. I am not K9 Finance. I'm just one of the DAO members. My name's CryptoPulse or Shane. So you get to listen to me. I'm going to talk to Buzz. We're going to talk to a couple other people that come up for speaker spots, and we're going to talk about everything that happened since the last week we got together. Of course, you already know because you were at that Spaces. If you weren't, you need to go back and listen to that Spaces too. There's been a lot that's happened. And right off the bat, I think we have to talk about the fact that we had our first centralized exchange listing. So Buzz, without further ado, congratulations to the community. What can you say about how that's been for your experience? What were your expectations? What's it been like for you?
Yeah, it was smooth. I mean, one thing that came out of it is we have more exposure to a new audience. I mean, a lot of people, when they get into a token, and want to join a community like K9, there's a significant barrier if you have to pay ETH gas fees and you need to pay fees that are taxed on you through the Uniswap interface. So that this is a new way where we can get access to a new audience. MEXC is not, I mean, they're a good partner, but I would say it's a first step. It's not the end step. And I think that as we continue building and as we continue growing, it's a great first step. And I'm very happy with how smooth that it went, and kudos to Mr. Lightspeed, who has done an incredible job in setting up that listing and also coordinating that listing. And there's going to be, and I know he's having many more conversations as well in the background. Nothing that we can leak today, unfortunately, but we're very much so looking forward to the next big step forward.
And if I could, since we're here with an audience that may not always have the opportunity to hear these things, I'd like to take a position as the average community member and ask a few MEXC related things that I see get asked all the time in this forum, if that's cool. Do you mind?
Sure.
So what's up with the taxes over there, right? Because they're an exchange. Isn't it true what I've heard? I'm pretending to be somebody here, that they can't handle tax tokens. So how is it that we're over there? Do we have to pay tax on MEXC?
No. So on centralized exchanges, there's no tax. The taxes on our Uniswap pool are outlined in the light paper. I've been quite vocal about this in our community, where I do think that, and we'll get into like where we're at with official DAO votes soon, I believe, in this call. But I've been pretty vocal in our community that I do think it makes sense to lower the barrier of entry to people getting into K9 on Uniswap, and coming forward with a DAO vote where we can remove the taxes there. But to answer the question directly, there's no tax on MEXC and won't be taxes on centralized exchanges either.
Excellent. So for everybody listening, if you're in the community and you see somebody with that question, there's your answer to that. There's still taxes on the decentralized exchange, but there are no taxes on the centralized exchange. That is intentional. Never be shy, by the way, about talking about the tax structure with people. I know sometimes people kind of shy away from that. Next question, and this one's the spicier of the two, and I know Lightspeed has had to deal with this one dozens of times. I've heard, and I'm just saying this again, quote, I've heard that MEXC dumps tokens because projects have to give them tokens. Did we have to give them tokens, Buzz?
The answer is no. Mr. Lightspeed has been amazing in his negotiations and certainly playing hardball with all of these exchanges. Of course, they requested tokens, but no, the project K9, our DAO, did not give MEXC any tokens. What I explained in the community, I believe it was yesterday, is that when people are seeing the wallet on Etherscan that's labeled MEXC and has a bunch of tokens in it, that's actually a pooled wallet. So when somebody deposits K9 tokens onto MEXC, MEXC routes those into what's called a hot wallet. So they store all of their tokens in one place, and hopefully they have those all in one place where if everybody wanted to withdraw their K9 tokens, they'd be able to do so. It all comes from that same wallet. But what you're seeing on Etherscan is an aggregation of all individual community members who have deposited their tokens on MEXC. Those are not MEXC-owned tokens. They're community member-owned tokens that are sitting in the MEXC wallet. But to answer the question directly, no, MEXC was not given any tokens from our DAO, from the multi-sig or anything like that.
I like at the end how you circle back and answer directly, because I appreciate that type of stuff. I'm going to reiterate what he just said, just so everybody hears it again, because I don't know if everybody knows those differences on Etherscan, but that one pool of tokens that is there labeled MEXC represents every single holder at MEXC. They pool everybody's tokens into one place. You don't have your own individual wallets when it comes to that. So when you see that large volume of tokens in one place, those weren't given to MEXC. Those are being custodied on MEXC by holders who are choosing to have those tokens over there for one reason or another, whether they're just buying them and holding them or whatever they're doing. So thank you for clarifying that. Those are the two things I know that I heard asked a lot. So if there were other things that I am missing, or if there were other questions that people had, I'll check through the comments and see if anybody says anything. But those are my two MEXC related questions. Now, as far as plans going ahead, because win, right? Win's never enough. Like immediately, as soon as you're on one thing, it's never enough. So you said MEXC is not the end point, right? We want more access for more people. And one of the things, Lightspeed talks about this in other places, we like trying to reach audiences, particularly audiences that show a proclivity towards being self-starters, being the kinds of people that are go-getters and stuff like that. So for community members and stuff, when they're thinking about what exchanges we are going on, sometimes it's about, saying, hey, this is an exchange that we have access to. We're regionally blocked, and this is our favorite exchange as far as relative to where we live. And you might have another group of holders that have a totally different opinion, right, about their exchanges. Like recently, I've switched on Binance. I wonder if anybody would feel the same way. Binance took away their US on-ramp, off-ramp. I used to be a huge fan, at least of what they were doing, because I had access. And when they removed that, now I have no reason to win Binance anymore. Buzz, do you win Binance? If I don't have an on-ramp, off-ramp, it's no longer regionally relevant, right?
Yeah, it's interesting, actually. I've told this story quite a bit, just about kind of like my trajectory in the crypto industry, having gotten the space in 2016. I got into it from a perspective of using centralized exchanges with an arbitrage company. And we were doing arbitrage trading on 8 of the world's largest exchanges, one of the first teams to be building on the Binance API. So that was kind of like my first foray into crypto, and getting it from the perspective of, we use exchanges to buy tokens. That was my understanding at that given point in time. Then I got more into DeFi, starting to really use and build DeFi products. And since then, I've rarely ever even used an exchange. So for me personally, and for a lot of people and developers that I know in the space, we're much more comfortable like using the layer 1 or layer 2 chains to transact and do all of the same things that you would do on an exchange. And it's where I personally like to live. But I do understand, and as we've been discussing with Mr. Lightspeed and his guidance there, that exchanges are certainly a necessary evil. They are a great on-ramp for people getting into crypto for the first time or getting in for smaller amounts, and having deeper liquidity across the entire ecosystem for a project. It's just another way for people to get involved in the project and join the mission of what we're doing. So for me, they're not something that is paramount to the growth of a project. I've been part of many projects in the past that have actually never had a centralized exchange strategy, and these are projects that have grown to hundreds of millions, if not billion-dollar market caps. But we're lucky enough here because of the demand from our DAO members and our community members, and they would like to see that we have somebody specifically within the DAO that's going to be focused on achieving that for the community. So I would echo your sentiment that since we are a community-driven project, that if people are wanting to see specific exchanges, that we can talk about it in the chat. And once we have our full governance portal open, people in the community are more than welcome to submit proposals and have those proposals reviewed. And if there's a cost or consideration, then there can be a vote on those proposals. So this is really a team mission and a community mission to identify where we collectively want these exchanges to be.
I got one more thought before I'll move on from the listing stuff and we can talk about some other stuff. But do you think that when we talk about mass adoption and we think about how it is that we get quote unquote the average person into DeFi, and you mentioned it yourself, you came in through centralized exchanges and you say they're a necessary evil. What's the capture strategy realistically to take your average centralized exchange user and get them interested in decentralized finance? Because I feel like these companies like Coinbase, now they've got their wallet and now they want you to do DeFi with their wallet. They still want you to do it with them, but they want to do it, they want to give you all those options. In 21, man, Shib and everyone else were pioneering DeFi for the first time, and these exchanges were on their heels, right? They didn't even know how to deal with it. And the adoption was crazy. Like they were struggling to put these tokens on the exchanges fast enough. Now things have changed. So what I'm asking, I guess, is what's the capture rate from centralized exchange users? What do you think the overflow is? Do we get a lot of them that see these tokens and then they do get a DeFi wallet, they learn how to do all these deeper things and eventually find their way to the L2s and stuff like that?
Yeah, first off, I love this question, and people are going to think based on my answer being maybe sounding a little bit prepared that you teed this up for me, but it was not the case. I just love this question a lot. So this is such a perfect example with Coinbase or any other exchange out there. Like every exchange has some sort of staking on there. And like you can go to these different exchanges in the last peak. Some exchanges, and many of these exchanges are not around anymore, like FTX and many like Celsius, products like Celsius. Like you could log on there and you could stake your tokens, single staking, and earn anywhere between 5 to 10%. And what your average user did not understand is that under the hood, what these exchanges were doing is they were taking your tokens, they were giving you your 5 to 10% through their centralized service, and they were going and doing those DeFi actions for you and actually earning probably 20, 30, even 40% with these really transparent and relatively easy to do actions in an actual DeFi environment. So what they were doing, these exchanges, is they were just taking custody of your tokens on chain, earning way more money than they were rewarding people with their exchange, but just giving people this simple interface to do it within an app that they quote unquote felt was safe. So for me, I think the real capture here is in education. And as a community, if we can start to understand like, hey, this staking thing that this exchange is offering, it's actually not beneficial to me. I'm just making the exchange more money by doing it. And if I can learn and have products like K9 Finance who are going to invest in infrastructure to make it easy for people to do this on my own and do these actions with a few buttons and an interface that I trust with smart contracts that are audited, and start to become educated, be part of conversations like this, there's actually this great carrot moment where there's going to be a carrot that you're going to see at the end of this tunnel, and this tunnel being the learning journey that we'll all go down together to figure this out with K9, where you'll be able to earn more by doing these actions yourself and on-chain in a safe manner. And that education is going to be paramount as part of this community and showing people what that true potential can be.
I agree. And you see the educational campaigns, like you just mentioned, on the exchange websites for the same reasons. We sparked at least one interested party. Myhyar came up with a microphone, and we also got Mantra up here. So we're going to talk to both of them. Myhyar, why don't you go first? How's your microphone? How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me, Shane. I'm good. I didn't want to take too much time here today, but I wanted to come on here and support Buzz as one of the early advisors on the project. Just wonderful things you guys are doing. The MEXC launch was amazing. Big shout out, Mr. Lightspeed, Shane, yourself. I see some really good friends out here. Danger, Shib Dream, Sharby. You know, you guys are all being great to the community and everything you're doing for Shibarium. So I just wanted to say hello and wanted to say congratulations to the team for another milestone met. I know they're working hard behind the scenes. And obviously everyone wants to know when, but when is the next when? I'll turn it back to you, Shane, and let the Mantra team have a few words.
Cheers, brother. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming to hang out. Mantra down there hanging out in the speaker spot, getting all ignored by me. What's up? How's your microphone? How are you? Mic check. I didn't hear anybody. Anybody hear anything? I didn't hear it. I saw you unmute. Try again. Oh, I got nothing. Buzz, can you hear anything?
No, I can't hear anything either. Darn, spaces sometimes can be so buggy.
Certainly can be. That's why I'm always 50-50. That's why I try and go soft into it. I can't hear you. You might need to leave the spaces. Might have to restart X. Might have to restart your phone if you're on your mobile. So let's give them a chance to bump back. That's no problem. I can roll for 5 minutes of monologuing if I have to. That's a special skill that you acquire over time on X Spaces. One thing I would like to talk about, because I told Buzz that I wanted to talk about this earlier, was that Mario Spaces that you were in earlier. I could see you earning XP points even though you weren't talking. Like I could see the ticker above your head, but I could also tell that at certain parts you were fuming. Can we talk about in a more intense way when they asked you if you thought K9 was a meme token? They started to kind of ask that question. What were your real thoughts on that when they started going there?
Yeah, I mean, meme tokens, and for anybody that was listening to that space, it's very clear. They can be very contentious. And while I do not consider K9 to be in the category of a meme token, because I believe it's an infrastructure project, but we're an infrastructure project who's providing true infrastructure and utility to the meme economy via SHIB. So there's an important distinction there, at least in my mind. But that space was wild. Like, you have on one hand people who come from the VC world where they're trying to value and identify like what the next meme coin is going to be that's popping up. And then you have on the total opposite end of the spectrum people who are throwing darts at the board, so to speak, and talking mostly about their successes. And which 100Xs they've gotten and things like that. But the thing that people don't talk about is the amount of darts that they've thrown and missed the board completely, which memes have gone to zero within 20 minutes. Because for every meme that goes 100X, there's thousands and thousands that are launched every day that really have nothing going for them and eventually go to zero or get rugged and things like that. I do think that one thing that they missed in that space was that there's fundamental things that anyone should be looking for when purchasing a coin. They touched on it briefly, like things like having a multi-sig and not one person who owns the contract on a soft wallet. Having it so that the contract is renounced, that the LP is locked, and very basic principles that can keep a community safe. So I don't consider K9 a meme token in any regard. It's really the DeFi rails for what I think is the meme economy, and where that's going is going to be Shibarium. But yeah, it was a crazy space, and I think that for our community members, they were probably like, oh, I wish K9 got or myself was able to speak more and and get a couple words in. But what I'm trying to get across is that there's 114,000 people that were listening to that, and every single one of those people see K9 Finance in a speaker spot. And there's brand association where we're going to be on more of those. There's going to be more opportunities, and when we are doing big marketing events and tweets or whatever it may be come across people's eyes, they're going to recognize that, hey, K9 was on that space earlier. I heard a little bit something about it. And the more touch points we can have with a consumer, the more that we're going to be recognized in the market. And people are going to start to see as K9 as being a long-standing project that is around and is building true infrastructure for the meme economy.
I'm glad you brought up the idea that the average holder might have been frustrated with your lack of input, because I think that's a fun observation, but simultaneously, if you've not been in spaces enough to know what it's like to be sitting up there in that spot, it's difficult to know how to get in a word edgewise. And in particular, I'm not writing anybody, but that was a very, very difficultly moderated spaces, because nobody was using the hands up. Nobody was giving anybody any kind of leeway, and everybody was very comfortably talking over each other. So I think you probably played it right. Like from my perspective as a spaces host, I think you played it right by playing it cool, say less, stand in the corner and kind of like sip your drink. Everybody knows you're at the party, but you don't have to be the loud one necessarily in that case. But they did come to you when they wanted your opinion. And what's funny is they came to you, even though I felt like half of them were like, oh, you got a dog paw for your logo, so you're a meme. When it came time to ask about non-meme things, they sure called on you. That's what I noticed. So good job. I wouldn't be worried about it. I think, like you said, you'll get more opportunities to go back and stuff like that. And with Mario having a interest in K9 from the perspective of the incubator fund and stuff like that, I'm not worried in any way that you would ever be able to be cast in a negative light or have any aspersions cast on you for in those spaces. I don't think it would ever be allowed to run too far anyway. So I think it'll be cool to go back. Round 2, Mantra, microphone check. Are we there this time? Is it going to work? Hello.
Hello,
oh,
man.
Damn, it works this time. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
It's good to hear your voice.
So sorry for the last time. Yeah. yeah. So sorry for the last time I got the mic. I don't know what happened. This is common in Twitter spaces. Yeah,
I'm glad you're here. Hopefully the connection will stay solid for us for a while. I just wanted to, I extended the invite basically because we made the announcement a while ago. Can you still hear me? Are you still there? I hear him kind of in the blockchain. We may still be having connection problems. Can you hear me, buddy?
Yeah, I think Mantra just might have a delay or something like that. Potentially.
There's a difference between a delay and like a 7-second delay. That's like a telegraph game delay. I don't know if there's going to be a significant delay on the other end of that thing. I'm not going to try and drag everything down to that point. Let's try one more reset, maybe, Mantra, and maybe go the full distance. If you haven't done a phone reset or a Wi-Fi reset, maybe call your provider, smash your phone on a rock. Spaces can be weird like that. Even Mario spaces get rugged. It's funny. So it's like they have more trouble the more people that are in them, We'll see what happens. I also see some other people down there. Like I said, this is an open spaces we're half an hour into. If anybody else has anything they want to come up and talk about while we're going through some of this, I see familiar faces and people from regular places down there. So feel free to raise a hand if you want to come up. We are going to do a bit of Buzz's Corner today, give Buzz a chance to talk about some things that maybe he wanted to highlight from throughout the week. We always like to give him a chance to talk about things that might have gone missed or been unnoticed this week. So we'll do that here in a little bit. And the one thing we were working on, DAO voting, was the other thing I wrote down that I wanted to talk about. You mentioned that the framework is being put in place and that you had an idea for a first vote, right? You were thinking about using the tax vote?
Yeah, so this week, Turtle, I think, is in the space as well. He's been really spearheading this from our team and doing an incredible job with that. But setting up 2 critical pieces of infrastructure for our DAO. One is a forum where any token holder will be able to submit a proposal for a vote. And the second is the actual voting interface. So this is going to be able to recognize people's tokens and facilitate votes that are ongoing. So that this is going to be hosted on a platform called snapshot.org. I'd have to reconnect with the team because I know that they were working on actually deploying that about 2 hours ago. But I had a flood at my house, so I wasn't able to to help them out with that. I think it's actually deployed now, and we'll be probably early next week unveiling that to the community, where people will be able to see the official voting environment for the K9 Finance DAO. So those are two pieces of infrastructure that we're working on. In tandem to that, we are also working on sourcing individuals who will be sitting on our roundtable of dogs. And for those who don't know, and might be listening here for the first time, K9 Finance is a fully decentralized DAO. There are 2 layers within the DAO. I guess 3 layers. So the first is token holders. Everyone who owns even one K9 token is a member of the DAO. The second is the management council, who were elected by the DAO prior to the token launching. Even myself, I sit on the management council alongside Shane, who's here with the mic, Mr. Lightspeed, Turtle, who's the head of ops, Daisy, who handles marketing, and Turbo, who is doing business development. And the responsibility of the management council is to execute the roadmap as was laid out on our website. So anybody can go read that light paper. We're all working towards executing on that vision. And that management council has discretionary access towards spend that's in the Treasury wallet. Everyone can see the Treasury wallet, which is labeled on Etherscan as K9safe.eth, has discretionary spend over that to only execute the development of the product according to the light paper. And any material changes or spending outside of that is or changes to that light paper and things like that are subject to a DAO vote. And the next layer is the roundtable of dogs. So this is an independent council that we're forming of leaders in the industry, people from diverse backgrounds, people who have expertise in token economics, communications, marketing, development, and are going to be leaders in their own right in different communities. And their responsibility will be to look at all of the proposals that are coming in through the forum. I expect that there's going to be a lot of proposals, and their responsibility is going to filter them and decide which ones are actually going to go to a vote and which ones are appropriate for a vote. They're going to be independent and non-biased to make sure that good votes are going to a vote, or the outcome of that vote, whether it's a yes or a no, would positively impact the K9 Finance DAO, so that the outcome is going to support the mission. And that mission is to bring DeFi to SHIB. So we're sourcing those people who are going to sit on that panel. And so as you can see in how much I've been talking here, there's a lot of work that's going into setting up the infrastructure of getting this DAO going. Right now, there is some changes to our website where there's a specific section for submissions. So people can even start submitting applications to be an ambassador, to be a community moderator, submissions for marketing. If somebody's a really great designer or content creator, the submissions that'll go through there. We're also working on some really cool programs through the DAO where not only will people be able to submit proposals based on what they want changed in the roadmap or approving a certain marketing spend and things like that, but it'll also be some sort of community grant program. We haven't fully worked through the details yet, but I thought I would leak that because I think it's very exciting, where people would be able to apply through a specific form where they would fill out criteria of exactly what they need, what they're going to do, and the community would be able to vote on whether or not that person should be issued the grant to do something for the K9 community, which I think is incredibly exciting.
The ambassador forms and stuff like that is also news that's just coming out here. So we'll put some more information about that into the chats. When we get done here, we'll push out some information about that. But those are all things that I think people are going to be excited about, like the stuff that they can get in on. If you are a graphic, like you said, graphic designer, or you make music, or there's something you can contribute, you finally have a way to say, hey, I want to be a piece of this action. I've got something I can contribute, which is important because community driven is everything when it comes to content creation. Everything about SHIB was community created, the content, the memes and stuff like that. You didn't have to ask people to do it. You know, it becomes in the right situations, it becomes like a feeding frenzy. When you get the right kind of content creators, I could go on about this for so long because I run around in circles with people that do content creation. They just want to one up each other. Like somebody puts out something really amazing and you're like, oh, damn, that's a really good, I should have used that. I'm going to try and do something and put my own spin on it. And then they release something and then the next person's like, oh man, I can do a video about that, you know, and man, I could write an article about that video. We'd call it a news cycle, you know, technically, but once you have enough creators and everything like that, it'll feed off each other. So it's very exciting to see the community. I've always talked about a cauldron as it boils. You get to see the ingredients as the water boils off. Yeah, go ahead, Buzz.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that like the theme of the week for the management council and our team that's been working on this stuff has certainly been infrastructure and building this framework to really make this run and this whole community run. And I was saying on a space earlier with our partners at CoinMerge who host utility spaces every Thursday, which is great. And I said, I was giving a pitch of K9 and explaining to people in the room what K9 was and what our recent successes have been and what we're working on. And it was funny that I actually forgot to mention the fact that we were listed on MEXC as an exchange this week. Because there's so much work going on in the background to build out frameworks and infrastructure to grow this much bigger than it is right now and decentralize that vision and ship this critical infrastructure for the benefit of SHIB that it honestly slipped my mind that we were listed on MEXC this week, and it seemed like days ago. And I made this parallel that when I hear other projects talk on spaces and things like that, typically the first thing that comes out of their mouth in terms of accomplishments that they've done is like, oh, we got on CoinMarketCap this week, we got on CoinGecko this week, or we got on this exchange this week. And there's very little discussion about what did you actually build? Like what sort of infrastructure was put in place? Like how are you scaling media relationships? How are you scaling development relationships or things like that? And I think personally, it speaks a lot towards what we're building here for the long term and how I mean, it's very clear we have accounts like the SHIB account here that's co-hosting this that in terms of what we're building for the benefit of the SHIB ecosystem and what we're going to be able to do here all together. And the fact that we're not talking about minor milestones in my mind, like being on CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, and even though Mr. Lightspeed is doing an incredible job and just making those things happen as such a well-oiled machine, there's so much going on and such a greater vision here for being those DeFi rails for the meme economy. It excites me a lot.
In the private conversations, if you guys could read and hear what he talks about, he's so DAO centric on stuff like it's his thing to sometimes in a way where it can be frustrating for some of us because we might have something where we're like, hey, let's do this, or here's a great idea. And he's like, nope, we got to source it. We got to absolutely, nope, 100% can't do it like that. And it's refreshing because it's very rare that I meet someone that's more DAO centric than me, because if there's anything I'm usually interested in, it's the outsourcing of responsibility. But I digress. Mantra, you're back up here in a speaker spot. Round 3. We've moved to a new location. Let's try it one more time, man. How are you?
My last chance, man. I won't even try again if this time it fails. Can you hear me now?
Yes, man. Loud and clear, 5x5. What's going on?
Thank you. Thank God. Okay. Yeah, no, all good. All good. Thank you very much for having me here. First time I'm going to be here, so I'm so glad to be in this such informative place for K9. Yeah. Whenever you want.
I'm glad to have you here. I want to give just everybody, can we pretend for a second, because we are here as K9 and I always like to tell people, never assume everybody knows everything about you just because you do. So can you give me like the elevator pitch for what Mantra is, for what you guys do, what you provide? Give me the quick who we are for the listeners.
For sure. Mantra is the biggest NFT marketplace in Shibarium, but we're also an NFT lending protocol. But we're actually building an NFT liquidity protocol on which we're going to concentrate a lot of liquidity for NFTs for the space. And this liquidity is going to be used in the form of many financial services for NFTs, like taking short and long positions on NFTs, taking loans with your NFTs. We're going to have subsidized pools, many ways to earn yield and also have quick and cheap access to liquidity using your NFTs. And that's the protocol we are building. And in this case, K9 Bone is going to play an important role in our platform for Shibarium. Yeah.
Excellent. And that's an area where I have little less expertise in. I would let Buzz, if you want to jump in. How much about that can you say when he says that KN Bone is going to play a pivotal role right there? How much can we talk about right now?
Oh, we can talk about it all. I mean, we've had such great discussions with the full team at Mantra and have such an aligned vision that and how a chain can grow. And in kind of making that comparable again to Lido, most of the DeFi economy on Ethereum is built off of staked ETH because people stake their ETH, they receive staked ETH in return, and then they use that for lending and borrowing. So when we connected with Mantra, it was immediately clear that they understood this, that having a liquid staking derivative drive financial activity on Shibarium was going to be massive for the growth. But the key thing here that they recognized was that other products are going to need to adopt this and partner with K9 Finance for the greater good of the ecosystem. And immediately in these conversations with Mantra, it was like, yeah, we get it. We're going to integrate K9 Bone with our lending and borrowing products because it's the sensible thing to do for growing the DeFi economy and the NFT-fi economy on Shibarium. So picture this. Picture that you own an NFT. You're going to say the NFT is worth $1,000. You'd be able to take out a percentage of that, like a loan against your NFT at a very high level. And I mean, I can let Mantra talk a little bit more about this, but that lending and borrowing will essentially be driven by the NFT asset, but also K9 Bone too, in terms of driving that liquidity.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is that you can deploy K9 Bone as liquidity for NFTs, and you're going to earn interest on that K9 Bone, right? Just on top of the yield that you're already getting from that K9 Bone, from the yield that K9 Finance platform gives you, right? And people with NFTs are going to have access to this liquidity. They are going to borrow K9 Bone from Mantra. They're going to use that K9 Bone across the other protocols in the ecosystem that provide use cases for K9 Bone, right? Or they can convert it into Bone and then back to K9 Bone in order to pay back the liquidity they took a few days ago, right? And the lender, in this case, let's talk lending, not only liquidity, but lending. The lender, in this case, earns interest on their K9 Bone because they get paid back an amount bigger than the amount they lent, right? And in this way, you can see K9 Bone as a token that can scale liquidity for NFTs, and you can earn yield on top of this, of the yield that it already earns via Mantra. You lend out your K9 Bone, you earn interest in the form of more K9 Bone using Mantra. But this is going to play in many other different services as well that we're building in Mantra. I'm talking lending right now because this is what we have today, but we are building so many other things on top of this, all this stuff. So K9 Bone basically is going to propel the entire economy in Shibarium, really, as many other protocols adopt this currency inside their platforms, right? It's going to propel a new economy for Shibarium. Instead of, I can see a time when people don't use Bone, but they use it to delegate it, and they just get their K9 Bone, and this K9 Bone is the new currency inside Shibarium, the new main currency. That's the point we want to reach, and it's going to need every protocol in Shibarium adopting the coin and providing use cases for it. And Mantra is going to provide a fundamental use case in the NFT ecosystem we are building. That's the idea.
So I'm borderline, maybe going to sound like a crazy person, but I'm so deep in K9 in terms of understanding what the liquid staking is going to mean. I just have to say this because I think this is missing for some people. When you're hearing about the partnership with Mantra and why we're doing this, and you hear him talking about KN Bone, and you're thinking, man, that's not even out yet. There's been some weird chart action this week, and people have been saying, oh, I'm losing my faith. I'm losing my faith. Man, that's the right word. because I think a lot of us that are here are operating under the idea that this is all going to be something that pieces are being put in place for. You have to have future vision. You need to be able to see a completed house when you look at a blueprint for this to make sense. And I know from a psychological perspective, from what I do in the real world when I'm not LARPing as a paw print on X, that it is difficult for many people to visualize the completion of a goal or the end point when they're leaving on a journey or a destination. And being able to wrap your head around all the things that he's talking about with a token that, as far as most of you know, doesn't exist, and using a DApp that's not out yet to earn yield that isn't there. This is hard to understand, but it is all being put in place with one goal in mind, and that is to flood the liquidity onto Shibarium by using this KN Bone product to get the ETH Bone out of these locked locations and into a place where users can actually use it. And places like Mantra are going to be the places that this liquidity is live, it's living, it's moving, and it's allowing people to buy and sell and trade NFTs. And by the way, I heard you say NFT-fi. Don't think for a second that I didn't catch that new hot jargon. I'm writing that down, NFT-fi. Don't drop that on me like I'm some guy. So I need to reinforce for people, what do we need? And I know I sound crazy like the preacher at the pulpit, but man, the word for me is going to be faith. Because I saw so many people crying in the chats this week. I know I'm not supposed to be negative because I'm hosting the spaces, but man, if you guys are forgetting where this all goes, listen to why Mantra's partnering up. Listen to what Buzz just said about what's going to be happening with all this down the road, down when the things are live. It's nuts. We got to start wrapping stuff up. That's awesome. And I want to have a deeper conversation. We might need to do a VC maybe in the Telegram with Mantra, where we can get a little bit deeper into what NFT-fi means for them, because that would be something we could do. What I want to do is there's two things I want to do. We got to do Buzz's Corner. I want to give Buzz his opportunity so y'all can pull up a chair. And remember, we're going to sit crisscross applesauce and be quiet while Uncle Buzz tells us the things that are on his mind this week. And then Myhyar offered to do Myhyar's Market Minute. So after Buzz gets done with Buzz's Corner, I'm going to give Myhyar a minute, and he's going to tell us what he thinks about what's going on in the markets. And then we will roll through the wrap up. We've been here for about a solid hour, and I got a GTFO. Does that sound good? We're all good. Buzz, are you ready for Buzz's Corner?
Yeah, I'm ready. I just want to highlight a tweet that I put out yesterday. I was just kind of pondering with a friend actually over a drink last week and just talking about economics, and it just made my mind go down this weird rabbit hole where it was like, oh, economies are actually much like blockchains. And like when you look at some of the fastest growing economies in the world, and you look at what is actually growing those economies, like whether it's oil or manufacturing, oil needs to be extracted. Manufacturing for your economy needs warehouses and plants. Export growth needs a pretty robust supply chain network. Like whatever it is that's driving these massive growth rates in these economies, the common theme with all of these growth rates is that all of these governments or these governing bodies are investing in a ton of infrastructure to be able to extract that rich resource from their country and ultimately grow the GDP of that country. So I started thinking about like, oh, this is such a unique parallel with blockchain here. Like when you look at chains that have had such significant growth, it's when you look at Ethereum, Solana, Binance Chain, Polygon, they all have similar things in common. There's this great infrastructure. There's stable coins, bridges, liquid staking, lending, borrowing, NFT marketplaces, fiat on-ramps, and more. The list really goes on. But those infrastructure tools are being built, and it's creating this flywheel effect where you can bring in more developers. More developers are bringing more users because there's more products to actually use. And more users is going to create more usage of that gas token for the network. And I started thinking about just where Shibarium is right now. And it's such this great moment where the Shib team has put together such great infrastructure thus far. But as a community, we can really come together and take it to the next level because Shib has that extremely rich resource of that brand equity of that Shib name. And the Shibarmy. So it's the community and that brand equity. Like when you are in a taxi anywhere in the world, if a taxi driver knows one coin in the world, it might be Shib because that brand equity is so high. And by building more infrastructure, I truly believe that Shibarium can become a network that competes with all of the blockchains that I said above and really exceed those growth rates. And I'm just very excited about where K9 can fit into all of that, of being that official DeFi layer and building that DeFi infrastructure for what Shib and Shibarium can come, and hopefully hit those exponential growth rates as a chain together.
Thank you, Buzz. And I actually saw that really long form post that you wrote. I thought that was nice. I know you don't really often write longer formats, but I would encourage that if you were wondering, I think a lot of people enjoyed reading that. I definitely did. So thank you. With that, if Mahyar is there, we can do the market update. This is an awesome opportunity because I was just kind of asking anybody in the chat. I encourage everybody, by the way, you're always welcome to come up here and hang out. I know we've had a lot of big spaces. I'm using quote fingers. You can't see it. Big spaces lately. And maybe some community members have been feeling like they shouldn't come up and speak, or that they're going to take up space. Please don't feel that way. I've asked in chats if anybody ever wants to come up, even if you're a moderator or a regular normal holder in the chat, you want to come up. But today I poked the bear, and Mahyar said he was going to do a market update for us. So it's all yours, buddy.
Hey, thank you so much, Shane. Yeah, it's actually like Mahyar's Market Minute. And the funny thing is, because I thought it'd be great to come up here and say a few words in a sense that, I run Blockchain Futures Conference in ETH Toronto, and it's kicked into full high gear with the bull market. I probably speak to about 5 to 6 new companies daily on, what they do and who they are, and they want to sponsor the event, they want to speak at the event. There's a lot of different reasons why I talk to so many companies. But what the feeling is happening right now is that the meme movement is really picking up steam. A lot of the companies I'm talking to are wondering how they get involved with the meme economy. How has fundraising turned to this whole meme craze that we're seeing? I know Shibarium had a big launch just a couple days ago that was super successful. It's great to see the Shib main account on this space as well. The reason behind that is when I speak to all these people, it's sounding like it's going to be a meme summer, but how people look at Shib and the ecosystem is kind of above all that. It's really interesting. It's the two biggest meme coins, or how they started as meme coins, are obviously Doge, which is a joke, and then there's Shib, which has built an entire ecosystem of products, L2s, and has a roadmap to become a network state. It's quite interesting that people are taking notice to this, and they see the power in the community. So I would say, hold your head up high. You're here today. You're part of this big movement that's happening right now. And to be honest with you, you're pioneers of it. Some of the earliest movements that I saw, which was like DeFi, just the original ICO movements, they didn't have huge communities like this. So you're really on the forefront. I think it's going to be a meme summer, as they're calling it, but I'm hoping it's just a meme spring first. And as well as, Buzz and his team are here. One of the funny jokes today was Shane saying there's going to be a flood of liquidity. I think Buzz knows a lot about floods today. He was a real trooper on doing the spaces, and unfortunately he's home getting flooded. But good on you, Buzz. Keep working away, and we're looking forward to meme spring this year.
Bullish update. I love that news too, and you're right, because the amount of people that you're going to be dealing with are kind of an indicator that us normal folks wouldn't get, because the people that are trying to book booths and set up these sponsorships, just the volume and the ferocity with which they're reaching out to you kind of gives you a sense of urgency with what they're doing. So I appreciate you giving us the pulse from where you sit. That's actually a really good piece of insight. Thank you. We're going to head to the end of the spaces. I'm going to wrap things up. We had a great opportunity to talk to some great people today. Mantra came in and we dove a slight bit into what that partnership's going to mean. But like I explained, there's a lot more to explain with what NFTFi, which is my new word I'm going to overuse the rest of the week, means for Shibarium, and what the K and Bone plays a role in that. So we're going to find a way way to highlight that and give them a little bit more opportunity to dive into that for people who are more technically inclined, because I think we'll have some people in the community that are active in the NFT community that are going to want to hear more about that. So we'll have to make sure we set up in a way where we attract the right people so they can hear that. We also heard from Buzz and all of his updates and the things he's been doing. He's been killing it on spaces and stuff this week. So I just say thank you for getting out and putting the word out there for everybody. And I appreciate that. And then Myhyar doing his market minute update. Before we go, I would say thank you to the Shib main account for coming in and co-hosting. I do not personally know who is behind the account. I know they're not speaking. I just want to extend my gratitude for you coming in and hanging out today. The Shib bump, as it were, coming in and hanging out. And recently adding the K9 Finance account and Buzz's account to your list of followers did not go unnoticed. We appreciate that. That's a huge highlight. Buzz's role within the greater Shib development community is a very it's a wonderful thing for him, but it's also great for us, and we look forward to that. What I would say to you guys, not as K9 Finance, just for a second, stepping out of my suit and tie. Hi, I'm just Shane, CryptoPulse9 here on X. We're less than 30 days away from the Bitcoin halvening, you guys. 30 days. You got a calendar? Cool. It's on this one. It's coming up in less than 30 days. I hope you're ready. We're all underpositioned terribly, in my opinion, in FADYOR. But I'm so excited as we go. He just said it's going to be meme summer. I hope he's right that it's a meme spring. And I hope you're here with us at K9 Finance to experience it. We do the Thursday spaces every week. We're going to be here again next week. I'll get the thing scheduled. We'll send you an invite. We'll meet here again. I will host it. You will be here. We'll have a good time. Until then, we'll see you next time. From me, from Mantra, from Buzz, from Myhyar, and from the Shib account. Thanks for coming, guys. It's another K9 Finance Weekly DAO Spaces in the books. Send the recording to your friends. We'll meet up next time. Have a great day. We'll see ya.